This has Vikings fans fired up as trade rumors are swirling again around a massive target who's been linked to Minnesota in the past, indicating a huge trade potentially coming. But first, Jordan Addison is back and ready to perform in a critical Week 4 matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin, Ireland on Sunday morning. We're going to break down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest. But first, if you're not a part of the 18% of viewers who are already subscribed yet and you want to stay up to date on all things Vikings, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the episodes when they drop. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Jordan Addison's suspension lifted. So yesterday it was announced that Jordan Addison's suspension was finally lifted as Week 3 has now come and gone, and now he is able to play in the regular season after serving his suspension. And he was suspended for the first 3 games of the 2025 regular season for violating the league's substances of abuse policy, but the 23 first rounder is now poised to return to action this weekend against the Steelers. The wideout thus is on track to resume practicing this week and should have an immediate opportunity to reclaim his key role as the Minnesota wide receiver core led by Justin Jefferson. Addison's looming return figures to impact fantasy upside, of course, of Jalen Nailor and Adam Thielen, but will provide a boost to his hacking attack that was helmed by Carson Wentz in Week 3 and will likely go at least another week. In 15 regular season games last year, Addison logged a 63 catch, 875 yard, and 9 touchdown line on 99 targets. So this is production that the Vikings have absolutely needed. Our passing game finally last week looked like somewhat of what it looked like last year. After a very rough 2 weeks in the passing game, we played only 1 good quarter of passing against the Bears, and we played 4 bad quarters of passing against the Falcons. So now it's a matter of, okay, we have a major weapon back here. We have a quarterback who's able to sling this thing around and be a good game manager while JJ McCarthy is just resting, and who knows, maybe JJ McCarthy doesn't start the rest of the year. We'll see. That's going to be a huge drama later on when that happens. But you're getting Jordan Addison back. That is a huge asset to this offense because this passing game needs all the reinforcements they can get and just to be at full health. TJ Hawkinson's waking up now. Justin Jefferson still has 75 yards last game. Jalen Nailor, Adam Thielen can get involved now. Carson Wentz is going to have a lot more weapons to throw to now that Jordan Addison is added back into the fold. And Wes Phillips had a press conference today, and he was, of course, asked about Jordan Addison's return. He said he's been in great shape. He had an unbelievable offseason, unbelievable training camp. He just looked like a man on a mission. Knowing that this was upcoming for him personally, knowing that it looked like he put all that past him, and he's ready to go and play football. Just being very eager and ready to hop out on that field. Just like Wes Phillips and Vikings fans, this team is just going to be a huge boost having Jordan Addison back for a game that we absolutely, it sucks to say this early on in the season, but we need to win this game because we just need to keep making statements. A lot of people are going to say that last week was a write-off just because we played against the banged up Bengals with Jake Browning, but now it's a matter of making it a habit and getting 2 in a row to go 3-1 on the season. So that's what Minnesota is going to be focused on. It's just going 1-0 every week, 1-0 every week. And if you can get a win with Carson Wentz against a team that's led by Aaron Rodgers and has Jalen Ramsey on defense and DK Metcalf to go with Aaron Rodgers, that's going to be a huge statement win, especially if they can lock down TJ Watt. But let us know how pumped you guys are about Jordan Addison being back down in the comments. That's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is that Sexy Dexy wants out. And we are, of course, talking about Dexter Lawrence, that according to ESPN's Giants expert Jordan Ronan, Lawrence is already getting very frustrated with his team facing yet another losing season. Ronan says you can see it building little by little. Now, this article came out, or this report, came out after their Week 2 loss, but since the Giants have lost another game to the Kansas City Chiefs, yes, they just announced Jackson Dart is going to be their starter, so maybe that tries to change something going forward for Dexter Lawrence. But right off the bat, this is not what Giants fans or the team wanted, and you can definitely see that Dexter Lawrence is very unhappy despite him trying to keep a positive front in the media with just trying to stay hungry. He was optimistic about trying to get a home win on Sunday night. Didn't work out for him. So now it's a matter of, okay, as this goes on and the Giants continue to be inconsistent, even if Jackson Dart is performing, will they be able to keep Dexter Lawrence happy enough to want to stay? And Lawrence has only been to the playoffs once since arriving as the 17th overall pick in the first round of the 19 NFL draft. He hasn't been able to make a postseason appearance since 22. The Giants have gone just 7 wins and 24 losses with Lawrence in the lineup since their last playoff win. That type of failure has to weigh on a player's psyche, especially one as one of the best at his position. He was a guy who made the NFL top 100 list this past year, or after last season, and now heading into this year, he had a lot of momentum, and he signed for a long time with the Giants, so that's why they want to make this work as much as they can, because while Lawrence literally has a tattoo of the Giants logo on his bicep, one has to wonder how much longer the 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle will continue to put up with a losing effort. And he's under contract through the 2027 season. His only way out may be a trade, and that's where a long list of teams will be lining up for the 27-year-old services. And yes, it is going to be very expensive to get him, which we'll hop into in a second. But on social media, this has been getting a lot of buzz, not just about Dexter Lawrence going to any random team, the Ravens, the Dolphins, or things like that. But one that is popping up, of course, and you guys obviously watching the channel, you know what team that's going to be, the Minnesota Vikings, as they have the second best odds to trade for star defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, as he's reportedly frustrated with the Giants, like we just said. So them having the second best odds, the Bengals are up there as well as the Patriots, them having the highest odds of getting Dexter Lawrence in a trade. That is a huge thing for the Vikings, because you'd think, okay, we seem to be set with our defensive line. You got Javon Hargrave in there, you got Jonathan Allen in there, and then you got Jalen Redmond, who's starting to really emerge as well. So now you're looking at it going, do we really need him? But Jonathan Allen isn't the greatest when it comes to run blocking. He's more of a pass rush guy. So if you can get a guy in there that's a really good nose tackle that is just going to absolutely disrupt the run, Sexy Dexy is that guy. But where it gets a little bit tough for Minnesota is his contract, because he is getting paid a boatload of money, just coming off of a $14 million year and now in a $23 million cap hit season. And it's only going to go up to 26.9, 26.4 in the next 2 seasons before he's a UFA in 2028, where he will be 31 years old. So this is a big thing for Minnesota, because they do not have a lot of cap space. 14 million, that's a far cry from 23 million. So unless the Giants are willing to eat a lot of that cap space for this year, and Minnesota can kind of figure it out as they go, that's going to be a really tough situation for Minnesota to be in, because with only 14 million, and looking at the guys that they have signed on for this year, they don't have a $23 million guy on there. They're trying to make sure that this team can stay relatively well budgeted, where you're only having to pay defensive linemen $7 million, $6 million. Then Jalen Redmond really emerging and also being younger. Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, though, they're getting up there in age. So that's where it might be a little bit concerning, where the Vikings might want to go a little bit younger. Maybe they trade Jonathan Allen to the Giants, but I don't necessarily, or Hargrave, but I don't anticipate them trading guys that they literally just brought into the building. Last year, there was a lot of rumors around Dexter Lawrence and the Minnesota Vikings, especially when Harrison Phillips was there. That would have been a very good trade to try and make, especially with the Vikings, with the Jets. They maybe could have tried to make a Harrison Phillips, Dexter Lawrence trade happen, and that would have been absolutely insane. Just the thought of having Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, Dexter Lawrence as our front three with this 3-4 defense, that is an absolute game wrecker waiting to happen. The only problem is cap space. That's going to be very expensive. Minnesota might be able to do it for the final 2 years of Lawrence's contract, but trying to make that happen for this season, unless you trade Hargrave or Allen and a couple draft picks, and that's also considering if the Giants take on a little bit of that salary cap to pay for this season, that is a very, very, very tough situation for Minnesota to be in. So for that reason, I don't see it happening. As a fan, though, I would love to see it happen. If we had carte blanche and just could go out and just not have to worry about the salary cap and just bring him in, absolutely. I don't think anyone in their right mind would be upset about that, especially when he's joining a defensive line with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. The only problem is, it doesn't really seem very realistic of happening. Even though they're second best at betting odds for getting him, I really don't see it happening. As amazing as it would be, it just seems to be something that's a bit of a pipe dream for Vikings fans, but not entirely out of the question. Who knows? Kwesi could surprise us, just throw them a bunch of first-round picks for him. Who knows? But I don't necessarily see the Vikings doing that when they have been so committed to building this team around JJ McCarthy and his future. But let us know what you guys think about all this down below. What did you guys think about the possibility of Dexter Lawrence coming to Minnesota, and would you make that deal happen, even if it meant trading Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave for that guy, or maybe both of them? But I don't necessarily see that happening, especially when you look at the depth, even though Levi Drake Rodriguez and Jalen Redmond are really starting to perform this year, and Brian Flores speaking today how well those guys have played. I don't necessarily see those guys and Dexter Lawrence being that scary front three that we've had for these first couple games going forward. But we could be surprised. Kwesi has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He could throw a monkey wrench in there, and we could see Dexter Lawrence be a Minnesota Viking this year. Who knows? But that remains to be seen. But let us know what you guys have to say about it down in the comments below. That's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.